early afternoon. We are live. You've joined us here on the Blue Plate Special. I'm Andy Andrews, and we're at Wisdom Harbor Studios in beautiful downtown Orange Beach, Alabama, at the Wharf. So, if you're visiting, and we have several people visiting, you definitely need to take your picture. Have your picture taken on the escalator statues. We have them at either end of the building here. They look like real escalators, and they're life size and everything, and so they're just fascinating to me. But we have a bunch of people in the studio today, and if you are new to us and you're on Facebook, welcome, and please click that notification button and make sure you turn the notifications on your phone so that when we go live for anything here at Wisdom Harbor, you will be notified. And if you would share, press that share button, share to your page. This is going to be a great show. We're going to have history's 5 best speeches that were never delivered. We'll tell you what they are and tell you why. This is my top 5 here. If you're on YouTube, press that subscribe button. And if you're on Twitter and Instagram, hello. Michelle Cromis from Indiana, Patricia Clapp from North Carolina, you're here. We have, as I said, we have a bunch of people in the studio. Ashland, Kentucky. Who's from Ashland? You guys are from Kentucky? Okay. And you're actually staying in Fort Walton, and you drove over here today to see the show? Good, thank you. So you're from Kentucky. Do you know Jason Crabb? You ever heard of Jason Crabb? Okay, yeah. You would know Jason. He's won Emmys, and so look him up on YouTube. He's incredible. And then Decatur, hey, Decatur, how are y'all doing? And so we're glad to have y'all here today. And also, we have Rose and Benny. Now, if you saw the recent podcast with Benny Dalzell, who is the number one, so here's Publix, the number one supermarket chain in America, and we have the number one manager from their number one store, and that's Benny. And that's also, did you know my t-shirt today is from the Publix collection there in Orange Beach, so in honor of Benny. So we're glad to have you and Rose here in the studio with us. And Benny says, "Hey, I got to leave early, so just I say tie him to the chair. Little M, just make sure he doesn't leave." Okay, Edie Ward, hey, from Fairhope. Becky Ottenberry, West Monroe, Louisiana. So, is there an East Monroe, or is there just a Monroe? Because I know there's a St. Louis and an East St. Louis. But I never heard of a West St. Louis. I'm just saying. Irene Robinson, hello. Sean Falls. George Cosser. You love that shirt? Yeah, that's the Publix collection. Sean Falls, you got notified. Tammy Nance, hey, how are you doing? From Shenandoah Valley. Walt Hollis from Louisiana, Alicia McBriar, happy 4th from just north of Bay Minette, Diane Wade Evans from Little Rock. You used the butterfly effect in your Wednesday night Bible study class. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, let's see, who else? Deanna Kilpatrick, good afternoon, good afternoon. Leonard Sanchez, good afternoon, from Green River, Wyoming. Now, have I told you the Green River story? Green River knives. You see Dexter knives? Those Dexter knives are really good knives. And they were originally Green River knives. And this was years ago when the trappers and the fur traders were out, the pioneers. The trappers and fur traders used a Green River skinning knife, and they also used it, and it had written on the blade. And so they also, when they would get together and blow all their money in like 3 days and then have to go out for a year to trap again, I mean, how much liquor can you drink in 3 days? Evidently a year's worth. But they would, fight, and sometimes they would, like, so if somebody got knifed to death, that the euphemism that they used was that he went up Green River, because anyway, but there you go. So just a little, I am a virtual encyclopedia of ridiculous and useless facts. Brian Bordeaux from Owasso, Oklahoma. Greg Laurent from Baton Rouge. Need to say hi to Irene. And Andrea Kinney, hello from Nashville. Hey, don't forget, Jimmy Yeary has the #1 bluegrass song in America this week. It's called Bone Dry. And so you need to definitely look that up on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, however you get. There's a video coming out next week. I mean, the song has only been on the charts for 7 weeks, and it hit #1. It's unprecedented. And so they've done a video of this bluegrass song. Okay, so here we go. We're going to count down. Now, here's the thing. There have been, these are events that you hear about, and they have speeches about them, but often there were speeches prepared that for whatever reason were not used. Okay? And so I'm going to give you my top 5 speeches from history that were never delivered. Number 5. This was June 6th, and it was D-Day. And General Dwight Eisenhower was very confident before that Normandy invasion. His quote was, "This operation is planned as a victory, and that's the way it's going to be. We're going down there, and we're throwing everything we have into it, and we're going to make it a success." Now, this was Operation Overlord, okay? And it was massive. And this invasion, it was the largest invasion, and still is, the largest invasion in the history of war. It had 4,000 ships, 11,000 planes, and 156,000 men. And he was confident. Eisenhower was confident. But he had a quiet plan in case the mission failed. And he had prepared a brief speech just in case. And so nobody hears this, but here's what his brief address was going to be. He had it written. He wrote it the night before and had it in his pocket all day. "Our landings in the Cherbourg Harbor area have failed to gain a satisfactory foothold, and I have withdrawn the troops. My decision to attack at this time and place was based on the best information available. The troops, the air, and the Navy did all that bravery and devotion to duty could do. If there is any blame or fault attached to the attempt, it is mine alone." So that was Eisenhower. That's what he was prepared to say had D-Day, that Normandy invasion, not worked. Okay, so here is number 4. Number 4 was a speech that was supposed to be given by radio address on April 13th, 1945, from Warm Springs, Georgia, on April 13th. But on April 12th, Franklin D. Roosevelt was relaxing inside his cottage there, his vacation house. They called it the Little White House in Warm Springs. And he was having his portrait painted. So during lunch, a pain ran through his head and it caused him to collapse. And by 3:35 that afternoon, doctors had pronounced the president dead of a cerebral hemorrhage. There was a speech in FDR's home office that was laying on the desk and it was unread. Roosevelt had written the speech the night before, and it was an address for the next day, which was Jefferson Day, which was a celebration of Thomas Jefferson. And as I said, it was supposed to be delivered the next day on a national radio broadcast. So here are part of the last words FDR left to the American people. Let me assure you that my hand is the steadier for the work that is to be done, that I move more firmly into the task, knowing that you, millions and millions of you, are joined with me in the resolve to make this work endure. Now, pause right here and remind you, World War II is still going on. Okay, this is right in the middle of the war. The work we need to endure, my friends, is peace. More than an end to this war, an end to the beginning of all wars. Yes, an end forever to this impractical, unrealistic settlement of the differences between governments by the mass killing of people. Today, as we move against the terrible scourge of war, as we go forward toward the greatest contribution that any generation of human beings can make in this world, the contribution of lasting peace, I ask you to keep up your faith. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Let us move forward with strong and active faith. So that speech was never delivered. Never delivered. Roosevelt passed away in the middle of his fourth term. James Dickinson Jr. says hello from Silver Hill, or actually originally from Silver Hill. You're in Germany now. So what time is it there? I'm just curious. Okay, so let's move to number three. Number three is, this is a kind of a weird one, because this is one that I guess if this one had been delivered, we wouldn't be here, I guess. So this is my number three speech that was never delivered. According to a 1992 Time magazine article that I found, the Mount Weather Doomsday survival location that President Eisenhower had built into Virginia's Blue Ridge Mountains, this place contained a vault with pre-recorded public service announcements. And these PSAs were to air in the event of full-scale nuclear war. Now, interestingly, these videos and audio recordings included survival instructions for the nation that was recorded by TV stars Arthur Godfrey and Edward R. Murrow. According to the article, the site's television studio was prepared to provide the president or his successor a national audience over the emergency broadcast system. Throughout the Eisenhower administration and for years after, the vault held this tape-recorded address by Eisenhower, Godfrey, and Murrow. The pre-recorded message was concise. It said, "The country has come under nuclear attack, but the government continues to function." Now, we no longer have those recordings. They were destroyed somehow, and there's no copies of them. But according to an interview with former CBS President Frank Stanton, the PSAs not only absolutely existed, but Eisenhower had more than a few of them made. They not only more or less guaranteed surviving nuclear holocaust, but here's the sponsor part. They not only guaranteed surviving nuclear holocaust, but that the future included smoking lots and lots of Chesterfield cigarettes. Yeah. Well, the good news is that you didn't get blown to smithereens. The bad news is you're going to develop a 5-pack a day habit. Okay. Marcy Crosser Taylor, you liking this? Okay, all right, good. Okay, at 7:30 p.m. in Germany, according to James. Now, you're in Germany, James. Number 2 is one from Germany. Okay, this was a speech that, now the last one, if that speech had been made, we wouldn't be here. If this speech had been made, there would have been a lot more people here. In 1944, there was a failed attempt by members of Nazi Germany's high command to assassinate Hitler. And had the attempt succeeded, Karl Friedrich Gordler, one of the conspirators, and he was the proposed chancellor of what was going to be a post-Hitler Germany, this guy had a radio address prepared denouncing Hitler and his policies. This is what it said. We would not be worthy of our fathers. We would earn the contempt of our children if we lacked the courage to do everything conceivable to avert the terrible peril and to achieve self-respect once more. Over and over, Hitler has violated the oath given to the people 10 years ago. He has done so by violating the law, human and divine. Therefore, no soldier, no official, not a single citizen is bound to him by oath any longer, for he is dead. Unfortunately, Hitler survived the assassination. It was attempted with a briefcase bomb, and he survived with everything but his pants. It blew his pants off. And there were several people killed in the explosion, but the conspirators were quickly rounded up, and nearly 5,000 people were executed in the aftermath of this assassination attempt, including clerks, housekeepers, and entire families. So that essentially put an end to any organized anti-Nazi resistance within Germany. It's hard to say what would have happened if the plan had succeeded, but the conspirators were making the signing of a peace treaty with the Allies their priority. So at the very least, World War II would have come to an early end in Europe, and there would have been no Berlin Wall had that succeeded and had that speech been made. Okay, Becky Altenberry, I'm so glad you're liking this. Now we're to number 1. And this one, when I found this was, it was kind of creepy, I guess, knowing that the president did not have to make this speech, that this was such a success instead of such a failure. But remember the moon landing in 69? Nixon was president. I was sitting on the couch at May and Granddaddy's and watching when Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon and I said those famous words, and it was odd. I remember some conversation about what's going to happen when they land. They don't know. They don't know if it's going to be poisonous. They don't know, what. Nobody knew, and so the world was waiting nervously for Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to land on the moon. They'd left that orbiting rover and were going to land on the moon. And, everybody was watching, everybody was nervous. Well, there was a speechwriter, William Safire, who was a speechwriter for Nixon, and he wrote a speech, and it was addressed to H.R. Haldeman, who was Nixon's chief of staff, for the president, just in case the astronauts were stranded in space. And so I'm gonna read this whole speech. It's like 4 minutes, but this is eerie, knowing that until recently this speech was not even known to exist. So here's what the President of the United States would have said had there been a disaster with that moon landing. Fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace. These brave men, Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin, know that there is no hope for their recovery, but they also know there is hope for mankind in their sacrifice. These two men are laying down their lives in mankind's most noble goal, the search for truth and understanding. They will be mourned by their families and friends. They will be mourned by their nation. They will be mourned by the people of the world. They will be mourned by a Mother Earth that dared send two of her sons into the unknown. In their exploration, they stirred the people of the world to feel as one. In their sacrifice, they bind more tightly the brotherhood of man. In ancient days, men looked at stars and saw their heroes in the constellations. In modern times, we do much the same, but our heroes are epic men of flesh and blood. Others will follow and surely find their way home. Man's search will not be denied. But these men were the first, and they will remain the foremost in our hearts. For every human being who looks up at the moon in the nights to come will know that there is some corner of another world that is forever mankind. Whew. Never delivered. So those are the top 5. And Louise Brown says, thank you for bringing this history to light. We need to know more. Well, I always think I would have liked history in school if I had ever had a teacher that walked in one day and said, okay, we're not going to memorize dates. Just close your books. I'm going to tell you a story. And it's true. Because there's I don't know how you make history boring. Well, no, wait a minute. I do know how you make history boring. And but it's just so easy to make it interesting. So there's a lot, and we'll keep looking for some odd facts known by few. So somebody's commenting on wondering if people remember Arthur Godfrey and Edward R. Murrow. Edward R. Murrow was a newscaster, and Arthur Godfrey was more of like an Art Linkletter before Art Linkletter. See you, Benny. And you're going to be late for work. So I think about that, though, about the Doomsday speech that Arthur Godfrey and Edward R. Murrow, I guess that would be our kind of, would be who? I don't know. It would be Jimmy Fallon and And who else leaving a PSA?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Conan?
I don't know. Leaving a, I mean, can you imagine? There's nukes going off, and Jimmy Fallon's going, the government is still functioning. Oh, thanks. So, golly. Anyway, I think the Hitler one is very interesting because they came really close. Yeah, they came really close. The bomb was it was put under the table right beside Hitler's legs, and because it was in a briefcase, and before it went off, somebody else had kicked it, and it was in their way, and they moved it, and so, I mean, that's just, one day we need to discuss, if you knew how it was going to turn out, would you have killed Hitler when he was a kid? Just an odd thing to contemplate, isn't it? If you knew how it was going to turn out. Little 5-year-old playing on the playground with a mustache. Okay, you guys. Yeah, we're going to be live next week. We're going to be in Orange Beach. We will be. Today's Thursday, right? So yeah, we're going to be here on Tuesday and Thursday. So if you're on vacation, come join us and come hang out, come have fun. We appreciate you being here with us today, and we'll see you next week.